Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Wedding Film School Show. My name is Jared Haskell, here again with Mr. Jason McCutcheon in the house, and we have a great topic to discuss today. Jay, how you doing?
Doing good. Excited about cleaning the studio for spring cleaning next couple days. Man, every year, I think we talked about it the last episode, but like that downtime, I always look forward to it.
Oh, me too. I love it. I was telling a consultation yesterday. I was like, it's lame, but I love not having the pressure of shooting every single weekend, that like dread of like having to pull out all the gear and make sure it's working. And like, you know, it's just that constant grind where we are. And I think for most people around the U.S. who are filming weddings, very seasonal. Maybe unless you're in Florida, it's very, but it's still seasonal in Florida. It's
yeah.
Flipped, maybe. But having the downtime to be able to like catch up and do these side projects, I love side quests. They're the best. I was telling her yesterday, I was like, you know, we're not really doing a lot of filmmaking, but like, man, I love just being able to clean up my Google Docs. Like, it's been a mess for a decade. And I went in, was able to clean all of it, organize, like actually use my, you know, maybe I'm a weirdo who's just, you know, like needs things to be in, you know, certain folders in order for me to even be productive at all. But I would say it's been very nice.
Yeah,
So,
I'll make a post on Instagram for our audience, but I'd love to know, if you're listening, what your off-season projects are.
yeah.
And because, you know, I think what I find is like there's things that we all do in the off-season, and then there's things that people just uniquely do. And it's one of the cool things about this industry. As much as it's all the same, there's a lot of differences, a lot of different ways to approach it.
You've been selling a lot of gear too, which has been fun.
eBay.
Yeah. So when you run a studio for like 15 years, you kind of buy a lot of crap, useful crap, and then maybe
useful for a season.
Maybe some not so useful crap that we use one time and it costs us $5,000 or something.
We're better at our purchasing now.
Yeah. We sold all of our old Canon 5D Mark IIIs and 4s and our Canon, you know, what is it? The cinema glass we bought a while ago, which was great. Loved it. Barely used it. Our Ursa Mini that we bought a few years back. That's now just, you know, very nice camera, but now we can probably do most of what we do with, you know, our Lumix sets. And so, yeah, that's kind of been good. It's been nice to get paid for all that crap. I'm surprised it still has a lot of value, I guess.
I mean, that's one of the cool things about this. If you're a filmmaker, you're buying stuff has pretty good resale value. So
Yep. One of the reasons why, I mean, I can't believe Canon's resale value. Like, we sold that 50 millimeter 1.2 that we got, I think, in 2010. Still had like 40% resale value. Like, 14 years later, 50% resale value. That's
no,
crazy.
I think it was 35%, because wasn't it $2,000 brand new?
Yeah, I think around there. What'd you sell it for?
I sold it for $600.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
and we've literally used it relentlessly. Still works great. Like, thing is a brick, dude.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about, sometimes you're like, I'm anxious. Why am I anxious? And then you realize it's like, oh, I'm anxious because there's a bunch of crap laying around.
Yeah. Well, that's how I am. I like exactly my point is like, if there's a bunch of crap laying around, I can't even focus.
It's tough to
ADHD.
like. I would encourage you, if you ever want to come hang out with us at our studio and you're in town, we're pretty much always like, yeah, come by, because we have business and we're open every day. So if you want to come hang out, but one of the things you'll notice is like a lot of stuff, and I don't
not
think
someone
it's
to manage it.
Yeah, it's not like, it's not this great blessing all the time. A lot of times it's like I can't think straight here. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, thinking straight is really good. And one of the things that will help you think more straight is if you have a great team of partners that you can rely on to shoot your next wedding film. So we encourage you, if you're looking for second shooters, third shooters, fourth shooters, first shooters even, like guys who could just, you know, be your associate teams and things like that, head over to secondsociety.io, sign up, and you can become a filmmaker. You can book out some awesome gigs, and you can hire awesome talent. Head over there. What's our code? WFS3? Yeah, I think it's WFS3.
Tell me.
I don't remember. Head over, use our code WFS3. If that doesn't work, tell us it doesn't work. But you'll get 3 months of VIP membership for free. This is a great partner and a awesome, I think, cog in the machine of making wedding filmmaking more sustainable for more people. It's just having access to good gigs and good help. So head over secondsociety.io.
They are great. So today, Jay, we're talking about a subject that I think it's pretty easy to become really pretentious, and I don't know, sound like we're just talking about semantics. Like it can be very, I don't know, like we can get lost in words with this kind of
Or
topic.
Alternatively, kind of sound a little sour grapesy.
Right. But I think it's important because I think wedding filmmaking in general is at a stage in its life cycle where this conversation is probably valuable. Things have shifted. People that we're talking to, wedding filmmakers, planners, photographers, you're starting to get reactions from them about the content that we're producing and what they see as valuable to the couples and conversations that they're having. So today we're talking about storytelling in wedding filmmaking. And the reason why this kind of came up is because you and I both watched a film from Riccardo Pizzoli, and he kind of drew a lot of this out. It kind of had us talking about it.
What's the name of the video?
The name of the video
Just for the audience.
The Best Wedding Films Are Not What You Think.
Yeah,
so a little bit vague. But
I would encourage you to check it out. Head over on YouTube.
Definitely check out that. I think it's like a 20-minute talking head piece where he's talking to the camera and showing a lot of his really wonderful, beautiful work. But he posted it in the wedding videographers Facebook group, and that's where I saw it. And I thought it was a good conversation that was being had. What would you say the current definition of what a good wedding film is to most wedding filmmakers today?
I think just knowing wedding filmmakers and that most of them are not super experienced, that's just statistically true. But also many of them are not particularly successful. So, and I don't say that as an insult.
Sour grapes.
Well, it's like if you haven't achieved something, I think your interpretation of why you haven't achieved it is that you haven't done something well enough. That's why I mentioned those people, because a lot of times I talk to those people and they're like, "Oh, I need to make a better film."
Right.
I need to make a better film. And the new person, "Oh, I need to make a good film." So like all of them are kind of eyeing people like Fasali and Sculpting with Time and all the Lorevs and the Fiore films and all the greats.
Do you think that for experienced people though too?
I think very experienced people tend to have a more nuanced viewpoint, but I think very experienced people make up a small percentage of the wedding filmmaking community. And the other issue with very experienced people is like, if you are getting 10 couples a year to pay you really big money to make this weird film, then why do you care what anyone else thinks?
How do you define weird film?
Like a film that's like not just the wedding day. It's like a bunch of extra bells and whistles.
Like an art piece.
Sidecard onto the thing. It's like about a couple's love or anything other than just documenting a wedding day.
Okay.
Or
so
something.
That's what you would define as like what you think most wedding filmmakers would define as a good wedding film?
So I would say, just to answer your initial question,
yes,
I think most people would say a good wedding film is a film that is shot beautifully and that has wow moments. I think what they're often referring to is not necessarily shot beautiful wow moments. I think what they often are referring to is good-looking people in cool locations. Mm-hmm. So if I want to be really cynical, I'd say to most people, they think a good wedding film is lots of portraits and a really beautiful location with a really beautiful couple. Mm-hmm. And
I would even
maybe lots of sound bites, or depending on who you ask and what they view. There are always a person who you talk to who's like, I'm trying to be a little bit more different, trying to be a little more, and like those people exist. But typically when I see people react to a wedding film, like, oh, that was so good. Usually I'm like, so yeah, I mean, but that's a model.
Right. And that's what I would say is when I see people say, oh, that's a great film. super cinematic, right? Buzzword term that really doesn't have a lot of meaning. They are referring to that film had a lot of, they don't even realize it, but it's all staged moments. It's all manufactured moments of like, hey, I'm going to pull this couple away 2 days beforehand, maybe even on the wedding day itself, and create something. Like, I'm going to produce this thing that makes a moment happen. And I would say, to me, why does that make a good wedding film, I guess? Because it's beautiful? Like, it is beautiful.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
But does beautiful shots equal great wedding film?
Well, I think there's a cynicism from people who, the reason I mentioned experienced people earlier is one of the things you hear a lot is luxury weddings. They all look the same. And I don't really agree with that, by the way. I think that's usually, I'm like, okay, fine, name 10 people. You think all those 10 people look this? They don't look the same. Mm-hmm. Like there's some similarities though, for sure. And the reason why you see these similarities is because to get to that place of maximum like opportunity for a wedding filmmaker, you have to do some things right that maybe you wouldn't be encouraged to do in a wedding videographers group. Mm-hmm. That wedding filmmakers would think is not good wedding films. There's a reason why wedding filmmakers react to like safe luxury wedding films so like negatively. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, well, this person is usually, if you're a luxury wedding filmmaker getting paid a premium, you are a type of person that is doing like a reactive storytelling style, not a proactive storytelling style. So you're showing up in the wedding day. This isn't everyone, but I think the reason why it's samey is because wedding days are samey. Wedding days, like there are only so many. Imagine if we were like every like Catholic mass was like, determined on what a good mass was based on how non-traditional it was and how unique the mass was. Mm-hmm. It's like the whole point of a mass is that all the masses are basically the same. Mm-hmm. They go through certain traditions. Wedding days are similar. Every wedding day, people can talk about, my wedding's different. Okay, what do you do? Did you go and stand in front of people and say something to each other? Yes. Oh, but we said swears. Great. So but you still just stood in front of your friends and family and had a wedding ceremony. The same. Did you eat dinner together?
No, we put sand in a vase.
Or we like wrapped. It's like, it's still vows.
Yeah.
It's still the same. You still went and sat down at a dinner table and ate. Mm-hmm. You still danced in some way and celebrated in some way. You probably got some portraits. Like part of becoming like successful in wedding filmmaking is adapting to the actual day. And I think so many wedding filmmakers think good storytelling is when I put my stamp on this film. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it's always bad, but I'm saying like maybe our definition's narrow, maybe a little too narrow. Because I wouldn't say like if a person's successful making that type of film that it's a bad film,
right? Because
they're not like letting the couple do what they want and they're too like if a couple wants to be staged and posed, I don't really care. I just am like that's not what I could do.
But it's also probably a super small market segment. Like most
Very
people aren't trying to hire a wedding filmmaker, and I think to our hurt and our harm, we showcase that. Like we're like, here are the best wedding filmmakers in the world. And then a client, this couple is watching this wedding film and saying, it's beautiful, but I know they're not idiots. They know what it takes to make that. The groom looks at it and goes, you want me to stand there and then like I have to do all this stuff where I'm like picking up my bride and like spinning her and looking at her into her eyes and like
gleefully being pulled through a field by you. And they're not going to do that. Right. They don't want to do that.
Most dudes that I know and shooting every single weekend would be, you try to drag them through that. And they're like, my friends are here from California. And like my friend flew in from Bangkok and like, I just want to have a drink with them and like hang out. Like,
well, and also
that's the majority.
They also would never do that.
Right.
And what I think is so interesting.
Or if they are doing it, it's because their bride or groom is saying, hey, I want you to do this. Okay, I'm being dragged along.
But they would never willingly do it. So it's totally fake.
Right. It's totally
fake.
Made up. pretend stuff. And you probably have a lot of people out there who want this kind of stuff. They look at those films and they go, super cinematic. I want that. Sure. We're just saying the majority probably don't.
Well, so let's talk about what Fasali talked about.
Right.
Because I think it'll help us out. So you asked the question, what do you think most people think is a good wedding film? Right. I think most people would say something with a lot of good, cool cinematic shots that looks cool in a cool location with a good-looking couple. That's a pretty generic definition, but I think what that usually translates to, and to get to Fasali's video, is it usually translates to kind of what we're alluding to. The films that we as a community all lift up and the filmmakers that we all lift up typically have a couple things in common. They typically have mid to low tier weddings, dollars wise, because they have couples that prioritize. They're usually like a younger couple, not the most career oriented people who really value experiences and value their romance. They're maybe hot, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And these lower key weddings look like where it's all about, there's a ton of portrait time, with a photographer that's going to let that person get away with murder.
Think about elopement and engagement filmy kind of stuff, right?
Some destination too, for sure. But in general, it's like,
can still be nice.
The average wedding filmmaker, I think the film they like is the one where the filmmaker is the star of the show. Mm-hmm. And that is not what the wedding industry likes. And it is not what most couples like. And it's not the only way to define a film being good. So when we only reward, as a community, one type of filmmaking, I think that's when you start to get into trouble, because newer people start funneling themselves into that style of filmmaking. Then they hit the market. They try to sell this. And then they're absolutely flummoxed that couples don't want to buy it. But the problem is they're like, oh, so I have to make a worse film. I guess I have to sell out. Mm-hmm. You're like, why is that film worse? Why is the film that the couple wants, that the day allows to be made, that will be sold 20 times more than the other one? Why is that a worse film to you? And I think that's really what we're addressing. And so anyway, Fasali has that video. So kind of what was like his overall point?
Well, I would say what I took away from the video, because it's a really long video, describing kind of a lot of points, but I would say the main takeaway was, for years, he approached wedding films as, I'm trying to make this feel a certain way. It's all about getting the right shot, making things feel cinematic, creating moments. And recently, he had a bride or groom reach out and say, hey, this is beautiful work. We absolutely love it, but there's no shots of my family in it. A specific family member that's very close. And so maybe it's a little bit of like, he was, it was hard to see the forest through the trees kind of thing. Like, he was focused on something that's so close to him that honestly, most people are hiring us to be able to capture those things, and we make it about kind of something else, right? I think that was kind of his main takeaway, and how that is changing his wedding filmmaking now, or maybe his outlook on how he's trying to make.
Yeah, if you don't know, if you watch the video, essentially he talks about his beginning of his career. I was like, it shows all of these like very posed moments, like the couple's like, the groom is standing there. There's like 4 shots of the groom standing there, and one from outside the house, and one is close up on his face, and one where his hands futzing. And if you're a filmmaker, like he was like, I'm going to go outside and get a shot of you outside. Now I'm going to come in and get a shot. Oh, can I get you to futz with your fingers? Look nervous, Mm-hmm. And then the bride will come up from the back and they're like, I want to get a shot of you just dragging your hand.
Yeah. And
then you see the shot again. You're like, he didn't have 4 people shooting that. He made her walk back and down the hall and do it again.
Yep.
And then you're going to walk up, and then you're going to touch her, and then you're going to, it's fake. The whole thing is fake. And I don't care if someone wants to make that, and I don't care if a couple wants that. But like, not only can most filmmakers not make that, like even if they wanted to, the couples will not let them.
I would say too, in those instances, like, is it wrong to capture a groom futzing with his ring and asking him to like do a little bit more of that?
No.
I don't necessarily think that's wrong, but because if it's happening and you're like, oh, he was just doing that. Hey, can you do that a little bit more with your ring? Like,
No,
that's fine.
Totally fine.
But what that translates to other filmmakers as, and you see it all the time, as I need to get that shot every time.
That's
and for a filmmaker to come in and be like, hey, groom, who's hanging out with the boys, drinking beers,
can we
and
pull
listening
you
to
away
Joe
for a
Rogan
few
in the
minutes?
background, hey, futz with your ring, and then all his guys are around him being like, look at this guy, and like they're gonna rat or pull him away to the other room and make him do that shot because Fazoli did it, is not the vibe, right? You're gonna kill, even if it's authentic, even if you're like, hey, you did that. Hey, can you do this now? Can you do this? Can you do any authenticity is out the window because you're just staging all these moments.
Well, and also
that they can't even have an authentic thought for themselves of like, I'm feeling this way, because now they're just thinking about performing for your camera, right?
Yes.
And that's what we're kind of like talking about. It's like we're killing those moments with making cinema, right? And I think that's probably what's the nuance there.
Well, and I would
What's the
say
balance
I don't
there?
actually care. Like,
You don't care about killing the moments?
no. Couples care.
Sure.
I don't care. I'll do what they want.
Sure.
If a couple's like, oh, we really want it to be this way, it doesn't bother me. I don't think you're like trampling on a sacred moment. It's a first look. Who cares about a first look?
Dude, hanging with the boys.
Well,
Sacred
whatever it
moment.
is, whatever it is. Like I think it's really about like, what is the actual storytelling job of a wedding filmmaker? What is your primary function? Like, why do you exist? Why does the world need you? You know, what makes what you're doing valuable? And I think, unfortunately, some of the things that we do that we like are actually not that valuable to clients. And that's where things can become culturally problematic when you have an industry that has forgotten what their customers want and how to make customers happy. And also, I think I hear this a lot from my filmmaker friends who get awards, who are perceived to be the best. I think it's somewhat self-imposed because I'm always like, you don't have to do that. Like, who cares? But I do get it. It's like the idea that like, oh, I made this one film. It was so good. It had all the perfect things. And so that film pops off for you and you get known for making this one great thing. And then your next couple wants it. I want to like that. But they might not want to do what that couple did. So like you're constantly under this pressure to reproduce something from your films that you know was a unique one-off story. Like you had so much control for all these different reasons. And I think like you hear about this pressure they feel to reproduce, to keep topping themselves, to keep doing that. And I see it even in filmmakers who aren't like industry leaders. They'll say something like, what do I do? Like, think about this question. What do I do? I just filmed a ceremony. They had no toasts. What should I make? Now, with me and you and our style of filmmaking, that's actually an absurd question. I don't even understand why that question is even asked. Because it's like, well, no, like I'm making a film based on what happened. I'm not making a film based on what I think is going to happen. And this is what I'm saying is reactive storytelling. Like I'm going to show up and react to what happened. And as it's happening, I'm going to be present. I'm going to be thinking about, oh, okay, this film, like they're not doing any toasts. I better shoot some extra B-roll. Or I better make sure to do more of these moments of people connecting. But like people get in this rigid thought point of like you said before, the shots I must get, the moments I must have.
Yeah.
To make the thing that I make.
Yeah.
My style of filmmaking is very unique. I always need these 4 things I always do. So your style of filmmaking is to do the same thing every time, only be able to do it when you have total control, and you're a better filmmaker than a person who just shows up and reacts to what's happening and then crafts a story? I don't think so. And I think that is the thing we need to get people to change and to think through is like, is it good to do all that pose perfume commercial stuff? Yes, that's a style of filmmaking that some people are uniquely suited to do, whether it being creating great buy-in with couples, whatever it is. If you're good at it, great. Do most couples, though, want that? Is that the only good wedding film? I think really what Fasali ends up landing on in that video is, I think I was wrong. I think what a good wedding moment is about capturing a wedding day as it happened authentically and communicating emotions in that way. And I would agree with him. I think that is probably the number one, because a couple doing a bunch of posing, like, can be authentic to them if they want to do that.
Sure.
If a couple asks you to do that, that is authentic.
Mm-hmm. I would just say the trend is moving away from that stage stuff.
Sure.
Because nowadays with TikTok, everyone wants something that feels super quote unquote authentic. It's not just wedding filmmakers. It's not just us in our, little bubble. Look at mass production. Look at social media. Everyone wants content that's real. You just get on and you do it in one take. You're not doing multiple takes to just, stage it. People want something, and people nowadays can see through the frauds. They can see through fake moments that just like, I even feel bad sometimes with like a first look, like twisting someone's arm to do a first look. I would never do it. I would say this allows you to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't have expectations of like the groom saying every single time, wow, you look so beautiful, and crying.
Well, I don't even mic them.
Well, I might if
I mic
I
it
think
up.
it might be a good moment, but
Yeah, depending on the call, depending on what the person says,
Sure.
depending on how they act. But I don't just by default mic them.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's like-
and when they ask what they should do, when I'm on site with a groom, and they're like, "What should I do?" and she walks up, just be present with her. You don't have to
I
say
always
anything,
tell the-
do
yeah.
anything. You're not working for me, dude. I'm working for you. I'm just capturing whatever it is you guys are gonna do. I don't want to voice that kind of pressure, because even a small amount of pressure can make things feel very plasticky.
Well, and the person is not good on camera.
No,
That's
they're
the
not
whole thing is
talent.
like
what are we expecting of these people at the end of the day? Like, I think it's unfair actually to these people to say, hey, you hired me, now you have to do this thing. Like, no, they don't work for you. Like, you're paid by them to just capture the moment. That's what they're expecting of you at the end of the day.
So what are the buzzwords? Like I think people use a lot of terms to say like this is a good storytelling thing. Like
Sure.
like you hear these terms like authentic, cinematic.
Yeah.
And like they're like, what's a good story? Oh, I like a story that's authentic. I oftentimes, what's funny is like cinematic. So gimbal or drone parallaxes of portraits.
Right.
Or authentic.
Well, cinematic is the buzzword.
Authentic.
Like,
So handheld.
yeah. I always say like, tell me you're a newbie filmmaker without telling me you're a newbie filmmaker.
My biggest
is the way that you use the word cinematic.
Can I tell you my newbie filmmaker tell?
What?
You bring the gimbal case.
That's like an action.
Yeah. You bring the gimbal case instead of just putting your gimbal in a.
Well, you had everyone. You just sold a bunch of old gimbals to us. And
Yeah, every
all these
person
people
on
were
the-
like, "Can you send the gimbal case?"
Do you have
We're
all the
like,
cables? I'm like, so do I have a USB-C cable? Go to Best Buy and CVS.
No. It's like a collector's item where you need the original piece. Like, it's like they're collecting a Lego set or something.
But anyway, yes. No, I would agree. Like cinematic. I think authentic is the new one.
Sure.
Like,
And I think these are all valuable terms.
Yes.
They should define something. But I think when you, like every term, luxury. Oh, luxury is the worst term in the wedding world because everything is luxury, right? It means nothing is actually
is luxury worse than cinematic?
I think so. In the
No,
broader
in
wedding
our
world,
little mini segment of the industry.
yeah, I mean, well, this is what I would say is most wedding filmmakers probably aren't doing luxury weddings, so it's like it's not really used a lot.
I hear people use it a
pretty
lot, but they
misunderstood.
usually like I'll be like, oh, I just got my first luxury wedding, and then I look and I'm like, dude,
I know
it's not a
just-
luxury wedding, man. Like
That's why it doesn't have any meaning. It has no meaning.
like I mean, it has a meaning to me, but a meaning to me is $2,500 per guest.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, It's just like it's there's nothing unique about a luxury wedding except how much money this couple spent, and that creates unique things. But at the end of the day, and this is why we're back to the Fasali/podcast of what is a good film and what is storytelling. What I think you'll find is that people who develop a style of filmmaking that is reactive, where they're letting the day happen and they're creating stories from what happened, can travel into the luxury market a lot easier than people who need a lot of control. If I was to say, this is how you know you're shooting a luxury wedding. If you were a high control filmmaker and you show up at the day and everyone there hates you and doesn't want to deal with you, and you keep running into the partners going, like, if your reaction, if your like feeling is, I tried to do this thing I wanted and everybody was mad at me, and that keeps happening to you, you're probably not making a filmmaking style that works well with the hubbub of what luxury weddings.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are people who find a way to do it, but almost the one thing I know in common with everyone who I know personally who shoots luxury weddings is all of us are very, very chill about what happens. Yep. We all are just like, I tried to do it. Like, we're good at anticipating and like guessing ahead of time, trying to make the couple step into the scene instead of you insert yourself in the scene. Yeah. And it's like, why is that? Why is that that storytelling travels all throughout the market, and the other storytelling style caps up at 10.8K?
I would say for people that know you, I think this is worth diving into a little bit. On a wedding day, including planners that we work with, other filmmakers that know you, on a wedding day, I think people would not call you chill.
No.
But in a different way. So, like, describe maybe how you approach a wedding day where there are some no compromise, elements to the day that is important to you when creating a wedding film, and how do you mitigate kind of that approach?
So
with
what I mean by chill
planners
is like, I don't care about being low key or something, like in the sense that like I am not speaking to my team. But what I mean is chill is like whatever the couple decides, you accept with a good attitude. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean by chill is like, if the couple's like, we're not going to do portraits, you're like, oh, it's fine. We want to go over here. Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to do this. Oh, it's fine.
Yep.
Like anything that if the planner is like, oh, we have to cut this speech out, it's fine.
But you are also an advocate. So like
yes.
on the day working with you, generally I'm shooting, Rich is shooting, Dom is shooting, Caleb's shooting, whoever we're shooting, we're getting the moments, we're capturing them authentically. You are kind of behind the scenes working with the planner saying, hey, we can't do the first look there because there's water running in the background. They want audio. Like, we can't capture it unless there's this fountain's turned off or whatever. Like, you are like, we have to make this happen. It's not chill.
Well,
like,
the
we
biggest,
have to do a good job
what I
still.
mean by chill is I am never going to let the couple feel that stress, see me sweat, know that I made a change. I'm going to handle it all behind the scenes, any logistics. But in reality, whatever the couple, like this happens all the time. I'm trying to think of some specific examples because I know we have a bunch of them where we do all this planning and all this dreaming about this great shot. And then the couple goes, no, the bride doesn't want to go out there. Mm-hmm. And then we go, okay, yeah. Now I could be thinking in my head, dang, that sucks. That's going to ruin my shot. Mm-hmm. This shot sucks. There's nowhere good inside this house. But she's like, I'm cold. I'm a little bit cold. And then we go, dang, okay, what can we do inside of this house to make it look great? And then my job is to put her in a place that she wants to be, but I also like, without her knowing that I didn't like that she made me do this one thing. And also without feeling any stress. Mm-hmm. She can't feel like this person is annoyed at me for putting me over here or like I don't care about her comfort. Like if she says like my number one thing is to be warm and you go, okay, we're going to go by this window. And she goes, that window is cold. You go, okay, no, how about over here then? And like, but I don't like, it's about constantly compromising.
And then also working with the photographer to make sure, because sometimes you have a different vision than the photographer even. Like, how do you work behind the scenes in a way that's, gelling with everyone involved, not just the planner? I would say you advocate probably more than even a photographer would advocate, generally.
Well, and usually way ahead of time, too. Like
ahead of time.
My goal is that, like, once the day gets rolling, that anything that we had to negotiate has already been negotiated with the wedding planner. Like, do you think they would like this? Oh, no, she's not going to like that. And everyone knows what's going on, and the couple doesn't feel any stress.
Yep.
And I feel like once you ask a person to, I think it's fair during posing, because the couple's expecting to be posed. What is the thing you always hear? Tell us what to do. We're very uncomfortable on camera. Let us know. I think when you're doing portraits with couples, to me, all bets are off. Do whatever you can get away with. That is a fake moment. The couple knows it's fake. They're taking portraits together. Now, you can, of course, encourage more real interactions, but at the end of the day, it's still fake. Everyone knows that they wouldn't be in that field kissing if it wasn't for a portrait. But portraits are authentically part of the day, too.
And also, I think it invites the couple to step away and have a moment together, which I think a lot of people actually like, right? Like, it's the same thing with first looks. Like, people didn't do first looks for a long time because of tradition or whatever. And then people started to do them, not because they necessarily wanted a first look to see each other beforehand and have this moment. But scheduling reasons.
Yeah.
But also, it can be kind of nice.
I think it's
having
nice.
a first look, seeing each other beforehand. I can't tell you how many brides and grooms will say, oh, the anxiety is gone because we just got to hold hands and talk, and it was a massive exhale for me. It's a good moment. It is an actual authentically good moment. So, but it works. It can do both at the same time.
But it's not fake, is my point.
It's not fake.
It's a real moment that you're just directing. The directing it is the moment.
Yep.
But the rest of the time, it's like letting people do things. And I think there's like, back to that thing of reactive storytelling, it's like, if your goal when you go into the wedding day is, I want to take this day as it was and communicate it the most authentically, versus I need these certain things to make my film. I think that's really what Fasoli was really talking about, and what I feel is important in like why we're even talking about this. And when you talk about all these terms like cinematic, like what do you think most people mean by cinematic?
I mean, it's kind of all over the place, but like someone could mean shallow depth of field. They could mean composition. They could mean, I think a lot of times when they say cinematic, they mean there's this posed shot that they've created in their mind, and then they can execute it on site, which most of the time means it's just fake. It's not real. I think you can have a cinematic shot that is an organic moment, that is kind of capturing like a real thing happening in a cinematic way because the composition's good, the camera movement's good, or whatever. I think that's probably what most people
I think it's if you the most cynical way I could say it, and I don't mean it cynically, but it's just straight to the point, is like moments that look staged. They don't have to be staged. It could be real, but like a moment that looks like it was directed by a director.
Yep.
That's what I think most people mean by cinematic. Like a gimbal push of an aisle, a drone shot of a couple walking on a crest of a hill.
Yep.
Like these are moments that the person's like, I'm going to go over there and get this one shot. Let's get this cool shot. You go early. Oh, we should do this. Like that's cinematic. I think the other buzzword we hear a lot is authentic, because we're talking about authenticity a lot, which I think it really does matter. But I do think like when stuff becomes buzzwords, we don't often stop to
think of what it actually means.
Talk about agreed meaning to it. And if you're telling people like people want authentic films,
it's kind of just like vibes.
I 100% agree that they want authentic films, but I sometimes watch like, oh, I want more authentic storytelling. And I'm like, that is not authentic at all. That's just handheld.
Well, no one ever stops that person to be like, what do you mean by that? Oh, I just want them to have real moments. Okay, what do you mean by that? Like, because actually, when you break down what they're actually doing, it's like, no, it's actually super staged. What are you even talking about? Like, it's not even real, right? It's not even a real definition. So, I think having a conversation like this, having conversations with each other abroad in the community is really important.
Authenticity to me is it really reflects the couple, the day, the place. like in a real way. So like, I think about this with music a lot. When I'm choosing music, do I pick music that I like? Do I pick music that feels authentic? One of the reasons our style is so eclectic is that we are very couple driven on how we make decisions, especially with Huxley Film. And like, we just did that piece, older couple involved in Broadway, had a second wedding party. They got married 4 or 6 months before, then had like a wedding celebration in New York City. And we were picking the music, and I was like, they are in their 60s or late 50s. They would not like that music. We need to pick music that matches an older couple, but is also fun and like matches our style. So it's like, it's definitely like that balance, finding something that works for both. But I'm not just going to pick a song I like that would be cool to edit to. Mm-hmm. It has to be authentically reflecting the couple. They have to watch it and feel like that's a song I would also choose. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that to me is authenticity. It's like, does it reflect the people, the day? Sometimes you'll even see people like, oh, this couple's a little more fun, so I did this wedding and I did this crazy edit. Mm-hmm. And I watched the edit and I'm like, they're in a barn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that you did a fun edit, but like, you picked music that's not appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know what I think we do really well is not only meeting people where they're at with their authentic self, kind of what you're talking about, but we also, the nuance there is like choosing music that is their most idealized version of themselves. So maybe like not for a 60-year-old, but for maybe like a 50-year-old or a 40-year-old. Like it makes them feel a little bit cooler, but not too much cooler.
No.
Not like 20s, 30-year-old. It's like we do a really good job of being like meeting people where they're at and being like let's use a little pop of color maybe. Like maybe in what's that show? Queer Eye, right?
Yes.
What Tad does, I think is his name.
You couldn't tell any of. I mean, I know the show, but I don't know any of their names.
What he does really well is that he's the fashion guy, right?
Yep.
He introduces people to
a little
bit of new style.
Me.
Yeah, that's a little bit out there, but not too far out there. Like he's not trying to make someone a
no, I think it's all about elevating someone, not transforming them.
Yes,
and I think so many people in wedding filmmaking, they are editing people in such a way that they are becoming them, not the couple. It's like this couple does not need to reflect you and your sensibilities.
Yeah.
They need to authentically reflect theirs. Now, if you want to elevate them, that is where you come in as an artist. Like, how do you put your spin like on them and on their day? I think that's an art form. It takes a lot of subtlety and a lot of experience because you can go off the rails with that. But I think that is why when we talk about good storytelling, good wedding videos, we're talking about someone who can walk that line between communicating authentically and cinematically without becoming... Vaselli said it in the video, and I say it a lot, and I was so glad to hear him say it because it's just the way it feels. He said, when I could see you, the filmmaker, in your film, I know that you're there. I feel your presence. I don't feel like I'm lost in the day. I don't feel like I'm connecting with the couple. I feel like I'm thinking about you. I feel like you're impressive. What is that classic, the Family Guy line? He's talking about The Godfather. And they're like, he's like, I don't like The Godfather, Peter. And they're like, you don't like The Godfather? And he's like, it insists upon itself. And I always laugh at it because I'm like, that is the perfect definition for so many people's wedding films. It insists upon itself. Like, you know, like I know that what you're doing and I feel what you're doing and it feels desperate. You got to chill.
Do you not like The Godfather, Jay?
I love The Godfather. What's wrong with The Godfather? I mean, it does insist upon itself.
Yeah, sure. But it was pretty original.
Well, it's not just that it's original. The thing that The Godfather does is it manages to have scope and scale, but is also it's a biopic about, this man.
Yeah.
And so the characters are very well fleshed out, and they're horrible people, but you also feel connected to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like when something bad happens to them, you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
Very humanizing, probably to the detriment of Italian Americans,
Mm-hmm.
because it made being a mobster so approachable that people are like, yeah, it's fine. The mob's like, how many times do you hear people be like, oh, the mob, like, they're bad, but they're like kind of good.
Dude, my Italian brother-in-law sends me all these videos. Very Italian, owns pizza shops in Providence. He sent me a video about John Gotti yesterday.
Yeah, they're kind of good. He's actually like a good guy.
And they went around and interviewed all these local people in wherever he was. It was somewhere in New York. I don't want to, say what part of New York it was because I'll probably get it wrong. But they were all like, they went around and interviewed people the day after John Gotti was sentenced. And everyone was like, oh, John Gotti, loved, he was great for the community. And they would be like, yeah, but he killed people. And they'd be like, he didn't do that. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, they're just totally in denial because they knew John Gotti, the guy who just lived in the small house down the street who did fireworks every year. Like, so hilarious to your point. Like, there's a human element there that's just like, if you can get over the fact that he did kill people, it's like, what has he done for you?
Well, it's the new new Daredevil season.
Yeah.
Like, Wilson Fisk is, I'm the mayor now.
Yeah.
It's like, anyway, I'll back to the actual topic, which is like, storytelling. And I do believe like a lot of people force themselves into their own films and their ego and their insecurity and even things that are actually good looking that are just doing more harm than good. I think they don't realize. And
but like what's our overall point with all of this? And I think the important topic at hand is like, you and I are always thinking about like, how do we elevate wedding filmmaking in general? How can we present good ideas and, repress bad ideas? Like that's kind of like the point. Like, we want to have discussions about what is working, what is not working. Like, do you think the posing, the, super, plasticky type of interactions where you're just like creating very cinematic moments that are posed and fake is leading to mass adoption for wedding filmmaking, or is it hindering mass adoption with wedding filmmaking?
I think it's hurting it big time. I mean, we have couples literally say to us, well, not that. They'll say in all different words, like, I want you to be there, but I don't want to know you're there.
Right.
All the time. And I think it's like, the thing I always think about, Jared, is like, I love Stop Go Love. It's our wedding video company. It's our studio brand. We built it up from the ground up. It's our baby. Our storytelling style has changed a lot over the years. We've been lucky enough to keep getting opportunities to screw up and learn. So I'm not saying we started out with like all this great master plan about exactly how to be successful as a wedding business. We probably started out like you, listening to this, if you're hearing what I'm saying and going like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, he's a boomer. Like, no, we want it. This is not new where the people in the last 3 years suddenly wanted to do this. We wanted to do it too 15 years ago, which is all this posing and all these long form storytelling tricks. And essentially all of it comes down to, we wanted to control the couple to make films. And I think this is the big separating line. If you need to control a couple to make a good film, you're not good. You're fine, but you're not good enough. If you can make a film reacting to whatever happens on the day and it feels good no matter what, then you're good. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're talking about. And we've learned that skill over the years. And when I look at Stop Go Love, I go, why is more people not reacting? Like, filmmakers never positively react to what we do there. But couples love it.
Right. Because we created a brand that isn't geared towards making wedding filmmakers happy.
We are selling way more films than most people at a much higher price than most people.
Well,
And this isn't a brag. It's to say, like, we're telling you guys we know something that some of you don't know, based on the amount of time we've been doing this, the amount of leads we get that help us vet these ideas. Yeah. We're not just saying this is how we feel. This isn't how we feel. We feel the same as you.
Yeah.
We want to have total control. We want to make the exact same film.
Yeah.
All of us want to make the same film.
I would say too, like, if you're a filmmaker in New England, in New York, and you keep on being told, like, oh, we went with someone else, and that someone else is us. It's Stop Go Love. And you keep on looking at your pitch and saying, like, oh, but I gave them my pitch. I showed them how creative I am, how I like to edit, my storytelling. Like, I gave them my most authentic self in the sales call. Know that I don't do that in my sales call. I say, this is what we do. And generally, we just want people to enjoy the day, and we're there to document it. We're not going to pose you. Like, I've been using that sales, like, I wouldn't even call it a sales tactic. That's just the way we approach the day.
We're literally pitching against you.
We're pitching exactly against you, because that is intimidating to people when you're saying, I want you to do this thing, and it's going to be creative, and we're going to pull you aside for 30, 40 minutes. I want to take you down the road. Just know you're, like, kind of like working against yourself in the majority of cases. Like, and again, there's probably a minority of couples out there that would love that. And you see it, like, you're getting feedback from those couples. We love what you're doing. But just know the reason why someone like us, at Stop Go Love, is doing really well and having record-breaking months is because we are just being like, we're there to capture your day. Like, the faster we disappear and you don't realize we're there, the faster we can get those authentic moments. Like, that's our pitch. And maybe it could work for you. I don't know.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like the real original question is that style of filmmaking, that reactive style of wedding filmmaking, is that also a good film?
Well, I would say the way that we try to approach it is say, we're going to do that, but how can we elevate it to be maybe more cinematic on the day of? And in a way that doesn't interfere with the couple's wants.
This is my 2 cents on, is it a good film? I would say, is it as good of a film in itself as if we had total control? Probably not. Like, I think if I had total control, and this is why when you see long wedding weekends with Huxley film, the films feel better because we can take our time in ways.
And more moments are actually happening, more real moments actually.
But even just like
unfold.
You're on site and you don't have your family because you're on a destination. So you get there the day early and you think, what do I need to? Well, let's go shoot this. So let's go find the coolest looking place in the town and shoot it. Mm-hmm. So you're adding all these layers, but it's still the same. And this is what I think. I think that style of storytelling, that luxury style, that reactive style, all the things, whatever you want to call it, that ends up being like, you don't get all those like cinematic shots as much, is actually, I think, higher skill, because you're not setting anything up. You have to have everything ready for when it happens, and you have to anticipate it happening. Right. And I think more film, the reason why if I'm helping people, educating people in any way, it's like, don't use good storytelling or cinematic shots as a crutch for the fact that you take too long, that you can't anticipate, that you can't set your gear up quickly, that like you don't like pressure. Get good at those things and try to capture that moment the first time. Why do you need a second pass of the first look? Who's a better filmmaker? The one who gets 90% there on the first pass and says, we're going to move on. I'll backfill the content with other shots, better B-roll. Like, you're keeping a record of what you actually shot. You know the weaknesses of it. You know that first look sucked. Perfect example. That wedding we did I won't say names. It was a large wedding, multi-million-dollar event, couple that was not interested.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
I'll just say D is the initial of the groom.
Okay.
And we did it.
He was a D.
Kind of. He wasn't really, but it definitely could have felt that way the day of.
Sure.
He wouldn't participate in anything, wouldn't do the first look.
Yeah.
What did we say after that first look?
We're screwed. heavily. That's sucked.
The first thing I did is I called another shooter and I tried to get another person to come. I said, "Hey, I need help. This is not going well. I need more coverage." So I'm in the moment acknowledging the situation we're in. So I'm a good filmmaker. Whether or not that film is great is not the point. The point is, like, was it as good as it could be based on the situation? And I think a lot of people who are good storytellers could not make films at the weddings that we shoot at.
Yeah.
This is why they always say, like, I don't want to even do luxury. Really, that's a very popular thing to say, and I think it should be not a popular thing to say. I think everyone should want to be good at all the skills that goes into the field. And you can have a niche couple. I think that's different. But it's like, I don't think it should be like a thing where it's like, I don't want to have to get good at making decisions on the fly. Why? That is the job.
I don't think that's what they're saying when they say that, though.
I think that's what they're actually saying.
I think it's just...
They don't like the pressure.
I think there's a pressure to, like, in order to be successful, I have to shoot luxury weddings. I don't think that's the case.
I agree with that.
Right. And I would say if you're comfortable shooting the same types of weddings, the same couples, it's really what you're getting good at. I don't necessarily have a problem if they're like, I'm not trying to, bow the knee.
But if a person says, I don't want to shoot
like,
luxury weddings because they refuse to make content for wedding planners, because they refuse to work with couples who won't do a 40-minute portrait set. I don't have a problem with it. I just think,
and it's also just limited, like how many of those type of luxury weddings.
But the problem is nobody teases that conversation out to the end, which is what they're really saying is they just want it to be all about what they want. And is that a good wedding film?
I mean, as someone who runs Stop Go Love, I would say Stop Go Love is also not trying to be a $20,000 videographer. We're trying to be a $10,000.
We're trying to do the skills that a $20,000 videographer would do, which is show up, react to the day.
Sure. Those skills.
Put the couple first.
Yeah.
This is why it translates, because it's like anyone working with us knows, based on all our whether any brand we do, that our ideology and our beliefs are the couple comes first, the day comes first.
Yes.
Not we come first.
Yep.
And I think that is really what it comes down to, where it's like, is a good wedding film is it a good wedding film if obviously the filmmaker came first? Maybe. What is the real point of great wedding filmmaking? Like, what is the unifying, this makes a wedding film good? And I would say, does it communicate the couple, their relationships, and the day in a real way? Like, does it highlight the family? Does it highlight the relationships of the day?
Well, you bring up my buzzword, which is family. Like, I think no matter what time period we're talking about, the most timeless concept is going to be creating something for people's family. Family will never go out of style. It will always be relevant to 99%.
When it just happens in front of your camera.
And it's literally in front of you. Now, that's not interesting to wedding filmmakers. They don't care about your subjects' aunts and uncles that have a deep bond and relationship. Like, filmmakers don't care. And it's why I don't think it's really talked about a lot in filmmaker communities. But I think it's one of the most valuable things to a couple is like Fazoli said, like, he didn't include certain shots. And that was the one thing that stood out to them. And it's the thing that I reinforce with our team is like, guys, when everyone's getting their portraits taken, you have to shoot everyone's face in that lineup. You have to get a wide shot of them, maybe do a push or whatever, but get everyone's face in there because those are going to be valuable moments to somebody. It's one of the reasons why we deliver raw footage, and people still order that from us is because they want to see more of their family, not just a 1-second clip. They want a 15, 20, maybe 30-second clip of grandma drinking at the bar, cracking jokes. They might be able to hear their audio. That's just valuable to people.
We just did a teaser for a wedding. The couple, we sent the film. They're like, oh, we loved it. Can we also get a teaser? Yep. And so we did it, and I was telling the filmmaker or the editor, I was working with him, I said, you have to include this guy's mother. Well, obviously, and he had a shot of them hugging during the first. I go, that's not enough. I'm like, show her face. I go, this guy spoke 3 times. And he talked about his mother every time.
Yep.
That is good filmmaking.
Yes.
I'm sitting there and I'm listening. And I know this guy loves his mom. And everyone loves their mom. This guy really loves his mom. Like, and I'm not trying to make fun of the guy. I'm like, I want him to be happy. And so the shot this person picked was better. Mm-hmm. It's not better for him.
Yes.
And so I always think about that. Like, and it is the number one miss I see with so many filmmakers is like, look at this shot. Whether it be like the bride doesn't look good, but the shot's cool. Like, that's maybe a early example of me being a little self-focused is like, look at this cool gimbal shot. Look at this cool, something you think is cool. I'm like, yeah, but the bride has a double chin. Can't use it.
Yep.
You know, so that's like the basic, down to being cognizant, paying attention on the wedding day, and then making sure your film reflects the values of the couple and the way that they feel in their family and friends.
Yep.
It's like, you see this a lot. Oh, this guy did a performance. It's really bad. And should I put it in the film? Yes. Yes, you must.
Yeah.
You have to put it in the film. It doesn't matter how good it is.
Yep.
We've had all kinds of brides sing at their wedding days, sing terribly. We always put them in the film because they did it. They cared about it enough to do it on a stage. You think a couple's not going to notice that? Like, and you think you want to get into that conversation with a couple too. I mean, even the fact that that's not a good wedding film, just it's not good business. Just like,
I didn't put it in because it sucks.
Because you suck, lady. Maybe why are you even singing?
Maybe take some voice lessons. Like,
it's like we all know this stuff. It comes up in our we know that we shouldn't say that kind of stuff, but yet we still do that kind of stuff, which is not thinking about what they would actually want and not thinking about their family and not thinking about like, oh, like how many times have you heard people say like, I don't even go to the family portraits anymore.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why would you not do like, oh, it's not that. Yeah, we know.
Because you're bored.
Yeah. It's stupid looking. Who cares? It's not even stupid looking. It's just not awesome looking. It's just is.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually good wedding filmmaking storytelling is take what is, elevate it. Mm-hmm. That to me is what it is.
Yep.
That is like communicate this person's family.
You know what I loved? We did a film years ago now where we actually set up a background stand, lit it with some Kino.
I want to do that again.
Kino flows, made it look awesome. And then almost had them do like a photo booth. So everyone was like posing for a second.
Dude, we should do it with Super 8.
It's awesome looking. Yeah.
That'd be fun. Let's do that.
But you get these reactions from like the VIP people that's way better and more intentional than, just posing or getting whatever they're doing for the photographer, posing for the photographer, where they're kind of like looking off camera. They're looking at camera. Like, that was great. And we were able to be like, include just faces super fast. Within like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, you have their entire family, and then you're done. You have this cool moment that's like eye-catching, but then also, you're checking boxes of just like, these are core elements of what the couple is going to want. And the thing I like about it is like, it's applicable if you're shooting a barn wedding in someone's backyard. It's applicable for venue weddings, country club weddings, luxury weddings. People care about their family. So like, just shut up and do it.
Well, and also like
include it.
If you really want to get down to the essentialism of storytelling, the reason why Aesop's fables are still read is because they teach timeless truths about how people are. People haven't changed a lot I know people act like everything's changing. I'm like, no, humans are the same. I've traveled all around the world. I've had dinner with people from third world countries and rich people. Everybody laughs at the same jokes. Everyone, there's differences, but their core human experience is pretty similar. That's going to be the same in your wedding career. The weddings that you shoot at the beginning of your career in a backyard are going to have the same story beats as the weddings that if you consider story beats being people. Mm-hmm. If you consider story beats being set pieces, no. Hotness, no. Locations, no. But people.
Poor people like lobster and rich people like lobster.
Well, poor people like their mom and rich people like their mom.
That's it.
Like if you can communicate relationships place, vibe. That's good wedding storytelling.
Yep.
To me.
Yep. Cool. So let's wrap this one up. Guys, thank you for listening to another episode of the Wedding Film School Show. Hopefully this has been interesting. We definitely want to hear your feedback on what you think good storytelling is.
If you need help with storytelling, by the way, head over to outpost.io, out-post.io. We have an editing studio. We love helping out wedding filmmakers. It's all we do over at Outpost. It's a partner, but it's also something that Jared and I own. And it's something that one of our goals is to elevate storytelling in the wedding industry. So head over there if you need help with editing.
Well, especially in the editing world, usually you hire an outsourcer, you're hiring someone overseas. Our team, as of right now, everyone's based here stateside in the U.S. So we hope that there's some elevated storytelling there.
We have an introductory offer, $650 for your first 4 to 6 minute highlight film. If you're interested in trying us out, we have Outpost Black, which is U.S. based editors, top of the line people, and then our great overseas team. If you want to save a little money, we try to give options for people. So head over there, and we'd love to work with you.
Yep. Great community. If you want to, give your feedback on what you think wedding filmmaking is, where it's going, some things that make a great wedding film. Head over to our Facebook group. That's where you can interact with other really great wedding filmmakers out there. We'll probably post, do a post on and look to get people's feedback there. Also, check us out. We have 2 YouTube channels, Wedding Film School, as well as the Wedding Film School Show, which is this show that you're currently listening to. As well as go to weddingfilm.school. We have a lot of resources online, some coaching programs if you want to talk to myself or Jay. Those are probably all the best places to connect with us, as well as sign up for our newsletter. We have a newsletter going out every week at this point. So hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you again next time here on the Wedding Film School Show.